Welcome to the EMOlition Derby podcast. I'm your host, Alessandro, and I'm a huge music nerd. I've been playing in bands for well over a decade, but have since gone on to become a music journalist working for several notable outlets, including alternative press. As a journalist, I cover a wide range of stories within music, culture, fashion, and just about everything else. However, I would say that first and foremost, I'm an alternative and emo historian and want to use this podcast as a means to connect with artists, musicians, and creatives to get the answers that I've always wanted and have an open forum to discuss fascinating stories within our special underground community. We release one episode per week that will either be long-form interviews with myself and a host of brilliant artists and figures from prominent acts across a wide range of genres, as well as other episodes where I sit down with my closest friends and co-producers, Joe Giordano and Ethan Fuller, to have what we call roundtable discussions. For those episodes, expect nerdy deep dives on music, as well as our fair share of hot takes and fiery debates. Whether we are sitting down with your favorite artists or just having fun between the three of us, EMOlition Derby is a must-listen podcast for all things alternative, emo, and beyond.
Yeah, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. How are you doing?
Yeah, really good, man. I'm really good. Sorry I'm a little late.
Oh, you're fine, dude. Thank you so much, just for making it, of course.
Oh, dude, I totally, wholeheartedly appreciate you chatting to me. So, yeah, this is fun. This is great. Doing a bit of American press. This is nice for me. Absolutely,
dude. And, your record label, Unified or UNFD, those are all good friends and people that I've worked a lot with. So, it's such a
amazing
great group of people over there. Absolutely.
That's so sick. Yeah, I was just listening actually to your episode with the singer of Silverstein. Just to get a grip on kind of what the podcast was about. And yeah, really, I kind of put two and two together with Unified that you were kind of in touch with them anyway. So that's awesome.
Absolutely, dude. That's so exciting that you guys have signed with them. They're such a great label, and I feel like they're such a good home for you.
Yeah, I love them, dude. And the fact that they've we'll maybe get into this, but the fact that, they've kind of signed a band like ours to that kind of label, I think speaks volumes about kind of, what they want to do and where they want to go. It's very cool. It feels nice being on a heavy label, it's fun for us.
Right? I feel like that's such an important thing that I feel like people don't realize enough. Labels for a long time were known as curating a certain sound and whatnot. And whenever there's those bands that sort of are they kind of stick out like a sore thumb in a good way, that actually can do amazing things for a band's career. I feel like being that in the midst of a different sound, I feel like that works so well.
Completely. Yeah. Cause it's you're both coming at it from two completely different angles.
Yeah.
And I feel they kind of think outside the box for us as a record label, and we think outside the box for them as a band. It's a really interesting dynamic having a band like us on a label like that.
Of course. Yeah. But before we kind of get into more of the label stuff, I just want to kind of touch back on the origins of the band because, it's pretty wild that this band has existed for about 15 years now, which is that's wild. I mean, all the way back to 2009. And, I'm always curious, about where the band came from was obviously Aberdeen, right? And, what was sort of the scene like in Aberdeen at that time? What were you listening to? What was it like sort of being in a band during that era, getting it started?
Yeah, it was a great time, to be honest with you, growing up in Aberdeen. It was, the scene was really thriving at that time. And we started when we were about 15.
Wow.
So when we started playing, we started playing shows at school discos and roller rinks and friends' birthday parties. That's what we were kind of doing. And then we started to play shows at venues in Aberdeen, and I think people looked at us like we were total freaks for a wee while because we were just so young. They were like, "What?" Or like we would show up to sound checks. And I remember we were opening for older local bands, and then very quickly started opening for touring acts. And I distinctly remember the touring act showing up to these venues, just like, what? Like who are like these, who are these babies? And but the scene at the time was really great. We were taken under a lot of bands' wings. Like people did kind of, I think there was a bit of a shock value with how young we looked when we would arrive at these venues, but a lot of local bands took us under their wings. And then there was a great community there was a venue called Dr. Drake's, which would put on a matinee show and then an evening show. So underage kids could get into the shows and we could play them. But then we became friends with the people that worked there, and very quickly they started kind of letting us through the back door to come to the evening shows. Because obviously there's like licensing laws with drinking and being allowed in a venue when you're underage. So we, kind of very quickly were allowed to play these, like, the adult shows, the 18 plus shows. But even then, we were still playing basement shows and very much grew up in like a punk DIY kind of community. That's kind of where we cut our teeth, and anywhere that would have us, we just set up and play. And the scene was great. The scene was really, really great, and people were really gassed on kind of bands just existing in Aberdeen, because there's not much to do in Aberdeen. So everybody gravitated towards music because it was kind of our only form of entertainment after school and whatnot. So there was a big community spirit in Aberdeen, and we were very, very fortunate to grow up at a time where it was such an accepted thing, and it's very much where we found our a place of comfort outside of school, because we kind of felt like real kind of in-betweeners, being such music nerds, and only, wanting to delve into the world of music, basically. And
are you talking about the show In-Betweeners?
Well, funnily enough, when that show came out, that's funny you know about that.
Dude, it's my favorite show of all time.
Really?
Yes, 100%.
No way. Yeah, like that was kind of us at school. We just didn't know our place in school. And it turns out we were like complete music nerds. So we really found kind of a kind of a safe space and a real sense of kind of belonging. Like, this is where we belong. We should be. This feels natural to us. So it was a great time, and we're very fortunate to have come up in that scene.
Absolutely. And just thinking of Scotland in general, like I'm kind of thinking like, were there any like notable bands that really came out of your region, like before you guys became a band, or after at that time? Or is it that have kind of broken into the States? Because admittedly, I don't know too much about the music scene in Scotland. I love a band called Twin Atlantic from Scotland.
They're like good buddies of ours.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay. I mean, sadly, I think y'all are probably like the two bands I know the most from Scotland.
No way. That's amazing. Yeah. That's amazing. I mean, from Aberdeen, not that would have broken the States, not really anybody. I mean, the Eurythmics, Annie Lennox is from Aberdeen.
Okay.
I don't think Dave Stewart is, but Annie Lennox is kind of our pride and joy,
Cool.
She's the one that really hit the big time from Aberdeen, but not many acts from Aberdeen make it, and it's because we're so far north on the map. A lot of kind of the industry have always kind of focused on Glasgow, and that's where Twin Atlantic are from. And a lot of bands have broken from there, but never never Aberdeen. They kind of don't venture past Glasgow, really, which is really unfortunate. There were so many great bands when I was growing up that were absolutely deserving of wider success, but you've almost kind of got to move out of the city, which is what we did.
Yeah.
So yeah, we had to leave Aberdeen to be closer to London to kind of further the band's career. Yeah, so it's a crying shame because there's really so many talented people up there. But it's just the nature of the beast, I guess.
Absolutely. I mean, dude, I just think it's so cool. I mean, like, how far the band has come and how much, further it's going to even rise. Like, I think it's so dope that you're going to be able to be like, we're from Aberdeen and really put Aberdeen on the map. Like, that's so cool.
That's it. We're very proud to fly the flag for Aberdeen and really kind of bring some attention to the city if we can. In any interview we do, we really try and kind of put a spotlight on the city because it's such a great place and so many fantastic bands coming out of there. It's just sadly overlooked. It's just one of those things.
Yeah. Well, kind of jumping forward to the future, or not the future, but just, a couple years later, you guys really broke out with the record, There Is Only You. And I love that record. And, my personal favorite song on that record is Live Like This. I think that's such an awesome song. And, that was sort of the record that started to put the band on the map, it seems like. And, it scored the band a lot of accolades in the UK and Europe. And, what did it start to feel like getting that validation from people? And then at that same time that you were like, okay, we're kind of, we're covering the UK and Europe, were you starting to get pretty hungry to get to the States as well?
Yeah, absolutely. We're always hungry to come to America. I think like we're desperate. We've never done a full US tour.
Wow.
Ever. So yeah, we made a record in New York in 2010 in Long Island.
Oh, okay.
And that was our first experience. We worked with Mike Sapone, who's
wow.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, and at that time, that was so surreal going out to New York as youngsters and working with somebody like Mike because he's just the best.
Yeah.
He's the godfather of emo, really, to me. Yeah, modern emo. He's it. It's the Tony Soprano of emo.
Yeah.
And so that was our first taster, and we fell in love with New York, and then we came back for CMJ Festival twice. I don't think that festival exists anymore.
It doesn't, sadly, no.
Yeah, that's a shame. That was a really cool thing going on there.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, we loved it. And then we did South by Southwest Festival, which was just carnage. That festival was unreal. I've never experienced anything like it. So, yeah, we had a taster of America, but yeah, we'd only played like kind of sporadic shows here and there. And we've wanted to do a full US tour for so long. Hopefully it's going to happen soon because I know there's quite a few people that want to see us play out there. We made There Is Only You. We thought that was the record to kind of take us to America because we were taking so much inspiration at the time from American acts. We really wanted it to be like Smashing Pumpkins meets Tom Petty. That's what was in our heads. You know, it was like these nice sprangy guitars, but have that like rat pedal, Smashing Pumpkins dirt.
Yeah.
So it's just never quite happened, sadly. But we're desperate to come out. We're absolutely desperate. But that was a great time though when we released There Is Only You because we've been just grinding so hard. You know, we realized quite early on we probably weren't going to sign with a major record label. And so we just spent our entire career on the road, just working and trying to gain a loyal hardcore following. And then when we released There's Only You, that's when we started to really feel like people were on our side and really wanted to support the band. But we've always been a bit of a word of mouth band. So when we released that, and the kind of critics and journalists started supporting it, it was like, okay, here we go. This is kind of the launching pad, so to speak. So yeah, that was a really special time. Yeah, we're still incredibly proud of that record.
That's so cool. And I love like looking at your band now, because like now it is like about 15 years old, and you can trace the lines to so many different genres that you have dipped your toes into. And there's been so many
Yeah.
sonic shifts, which I think is so cool. Every single release sounds almost like very different from each other, which I think is so cool. I love when bands do that. And you're going everywhere from like that alternative rock sound, like kind of like Smashing Pumpkins, and then you're also doing like these beautiful orchestral arrangements to like the modern, like glitchy future pop sound on songs like Gimme. Like what kind of is the method to all those different sonic shifts? Are you guys just constantly listening to different kinds of music and just like, you know what, this is the kind of music we want to make today, and this is what we're going to do?
Yeah, like nail on the head there. Like our, between records, it's just the way that it's landed. Since our second record, there's been a few years in between each one because we tour so much, and within that time frame, we're permanently listening to new music and getting inspired, and permanently wanting to evolve as a band. Like for us, the unknown and the future is what excites us. Like the past is done, right? It's like, we spent a long time always referencing other bands and artists and never really focused on being the Xcerts. Like, what is the Xcerts? So this record that we're releasing in August, to me, is it's one of one. No other band could have made this record. Whereas before, you can really hear the influences. You can pinpoint every kind of Easter egg that we would have on a record, whether it be a nod to like Bruce Springsteen or a nod to Taking Back Sunday or something like that. You could always pinpoint it. But this was like, we're going to take all of that, but we're really not going to have it in our minds to be like, cool, this is like an 80s heartland rock, kind of blue collar records, whatever that means. That kind of thing. It's like, we're going to just do what we want to do. And that's what excites us. For us, the excitement of making something new, like for a long time, we always felt like we had to conform.
Yeah.
Because it felt comfortable, and it was not easy, but it's almost feels like a complacency, or felt like a complacency. Like, it's like a safety net to be like, we'll reference these bands.
Yeah.
And we'll, what did they do? How did they do this transition in this song? Because this kind of sounds similar, so we could do that. That's what we used to do. And on this one, we just went against everything that made us feel comfortable, we threw out.
Yeah.
And when we felt uncomfortable, it was like, that's it. This is the right path.
Yeah.
Because that's what's exciting. It's like, I just have no interest in repeating ourselves or repeating history. It's been done. So it's like, let's be part of this conversation about moving forward, and kind of, not that we've invented like a new genre or anything, but it was like, let's be part of the conversation about spearheading this new like alternative scene, because it's so exciting.
Yeah.
And that's why and we've changed we permanently change as people, and our interests permanently change. So that's why I guess each record sounds slightly different. It's just what excites us, and getting excited by the idea of like pushing boundaries, even just within ourselves.
Absolutely. And I feel like that segues really well into the next thing I want to talk about, because I look at the two new singles you've released, Ache and Gimme. And would you say, like, I mean, I love these songs because I completely agree. I think it does represent this very new and distinct sound that feels very, very unique to what you guys do. And I think that's such a bold way of kind of coming out of the gates and being like, this is sort of the new sound. We're on a new label. Like, I feel like that it just really was timed out really well. And, was that sort of the reason why, like, these two songs, do you feel like these are sort of the best representation of where the next era is heading, and like, what this next chapter is sort of about?
Yeah, I think I'm not too sure in terms of sound. I really don't know where we're going to go with it. I really don't know. But I think it's a great starting point for just a rebrand and just to, on social media, when we released Gimme, I was using the little tagline, like, the band is reborn.
Yeah.
And I think it's like, I guess at this point right now, it's like almost arbitrary as to where we go. It's just the point we wanted to make was, if we want to do something, we're going to do it.
Yeah.
And the best way for us to really convey that statement was by releasing Gimme first.
Yeah.
Because it's just so, like, unashamedly out there and in your face. And, obviously we took influence from other bands on it, like when I first heard, like, some of the recent Charlie XCX stuff, I was completely blown away and got introduced to 100 Gecs. And I've always been a huge fan of Sleigh Bells.
I was about to say, I was going to ask if Sleigh Bells was an influence. Yeah.
Sleigh Bells was a big one. That's a big one. I know a lot of people have kind of mentioned 100 Gecs, but I guess it's because it's, 100 Gecs are the evolution of what Sleigh Bells started. But for us, Sleigh Bells have always been like a huge influence to us, and we always wanted to do something bombastic like that. We just were too fearful of trying it. So the entire time we were in the studio making the new record, it was like, fear can't exist in this space. If we want to do something, we obviously we can take influence, but it has to be our own spin on it. Because to me, it's like, it doesn't really sound like Sleigh Bells, but you can hear the nod.
Yeah. Dude, I love that you bring up Sleigh Bells, because this is a conversation I have all the time with people in the industry, because I feel like Sleigh Bells do not get nearly enough credit in how they sort of revolutionize music. And like you said,
I agree.
And it doesn't necessarily, like I said, like, it doesn't sound like a Sleigh Bells song like Gimme, but I think sort of like the spirit of Sleigh Bells is in a lot of music, where it's just sort of, like you said, it's bombastic, it's very avant-garde, it kind of seemed like Sleigh Bells was a band that just threw out the rule book and sort of kind of set the stage for so much modern music, and I don't think people talk about it enough. Like,
dude, I couldn't agree with you more. I could not agree with you more. Like, I mean, that the guitar player used to be in Poison the Well.
Yeah.
And to me, he's like a true innovator.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he took what he had learned from Poison the Well. Like, he still plays, like, I think he plays like Jackson's, or like, heavy metal guitars.
Yeah.
Or like hardcore guitars. And then in his mind, he was like, cool, well, let's put those guitars on a Pharrell beat.
Yeah.
Like, way ahead of, like, the curve. Like, that only, we took massive influence from a lot of kind of modern hip hop and listening to what they do sonically. And it was more the sonics of hip hop that we got really influenced by on the new record. That guy figured it out like 12 years ago. Like, and they really don't get their flowers.
No.
But it's sick to see that, like, 100 Gecs have kind of taken that influence and taken it somewhere else.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a crying shame that, like, Sleigh Bells aren't talked about enough, because they truly did start like almost a whole new genre.
Yeah. 100%. And I love that you mentioned too, like, being influenced by, like, modern hip hop as well, and like the hyper pop stuff, because in a lot of ways that sort of is the new punk rock now, where it's like punk kind of, sometimes it stays a little bit in the past, but like those genres completely are just sort of, it's no fucks given music, it's like,
for sure,
do whatever you want.
that's what I love about it. And that's what I took the most out of the songwriting aspect of modern hip hop, is that there is such a disregard for the listener,
Yeah.
which I just think is so fucking punk rock. It's
Yeah.
like, you're going to have 20 seconds of this section, then we're going to completely cut to another song.
Yeah.
Like completely different production. Like, we're going to go super, super hi-fi, then we're going lo-fi, then I'm going to go to a gospel section, then you're going to get, you know, huge 808, whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, for too long for me, and we've definitely experienced it with some of the reactions to Gimme, is that all these people that kind of professed there was a huge, I'm not too sure if it was like a big conversation in the US, but for a long time over here, there was a huge conversation about guitar music is dead.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that was definitely here
that was
too.
just that was universal. And I never understood it.
Yeah.
It was like your idea of rock and roll has died because the bands that are wanting to sound like Led Zeppelin now aren't doing as well as you thought they would. But then for me, it was like, when I first heard Peep, Little Peep, I was like, well, that's innovation. That's punk rock to me. That's guitar music. And that's where, especially emo, it was like, you can be prehistoric and be a dinosaur about it and be like, oh, I don't get it. He's sampling emo tracks and he's rapping, you know, all that. It's like, but this is innovation. It's almost besides the point if you like it or not. It's not for your generation.
Yeah.
So you know, like, it's, and again, hip hop pushed everything. Guitar music did become a little bit prehistoric because hip hop became the new punk rock, and we're like, we're gonna throw out the rule book, and we're gonna like clip 808s. We're gonna have really nasty guitars. We're not gonna have that many hooks. We're gonna have screaming on it. Blah blah blah. They like really, really pushed everything, and were able to go left field with it, and like you say, and make really artistic music. Whereas, a lot of guitar bands were like, this sucks because I've written this cool 4-chord riff. Sounds like, you know, whatever. I don't mean to get too neggy, but
no, you're not at all, dude.
You know, because it's just that I'm more like stoked about what's going on in hip hop and how it has, like, people have come round to it to be like, yes, they are pushing boundaries. They are innovators. It's a really positive thing, and it's had such a huge impact on the quote-unquote guitar scene. And now you can hear it with this whole kind of alternative universe that's happening, where it's like, yes, take all the inspiration, take all of it. So, you know, if you are one of these people that love Zeppelin but love like Young Lean, do it all. You know, it's like, I love that.
Dude,
love it.
I love that so much. I mean, like, it's all about using the guitar as a different kind of tool, you know? And I feel like some of those dinosaurs that sort of are like, you know, like we're talking about, like the older heads that are like, oh, this is all crap, you know? I feel like they kind of forget that, like, you look at a guy like Jimi Hendrix, you know, he was using the guitar in a very different and radical way. I mean, he was making it sound like other instruments, and people forget that. Like, at that time, maybe some people were being like, what the fuck is he doing? But now we're like, he's a genius, you know, which he is. But it's like, it's so cool. Or it's like, I love, like, I produce music as well, and like, I'll get into a studio and somebody will be like, hey, like, I have this trap song, but I want to make a song that sounds like Norma Jean and Under Oath. Like, can you like play like the most like disgusting like metal chords? And it's like, and you can just do that now. Like, and you couldn't do that back in the day. And it's like, with the power of like DI guitars too, just plugging right into the board, you can make your guitar sound like anything, you know? It's so cool.
Absolutely. But yeah, it's so true. Like, you know, a long time ago, guitar music was innovation, and they were pushing the sonics and they were pushing the boundaries. And you have to go somewhere else with that. You have to bring in other worlds. You have to open up your worlds. You can't just stay in this one lane and repeat itself. It's not exciting and it's not good. It's not good for music. It's not good for guitar music. Like opening up your world and bringing in other influences, that's like true creation, you know?
Absolutely. And, kind of switching gears a bit, I want to touch on the song Ache as well, because I think it's really cool because, you're bringing in like sort of an elder statesman of the scene with Sam Carter, who is just a legend in his own right. And I think I read somewhere that you guys actually met in college at the time.
Yeah.
So just sort of walk me through, your relationship with Sam Carter and the Architects guys. And sort of, what was it like, working on the song together, filming the video, and just sort of all of that, just around Ache?
Yeah, so we met on the first day of college when we were teenagers.
Wow.
And Sam was a drummer at the time. He used to play in a pop punk band called Stories. He was like a singing drummer. He was kind of like Aaron Gillespie in the pop punk world.
Yeah.
And we became friends on the first day. We just hit it off. We were in different classes, but we met outside the college and we both looked exactly the same.
Yes.
Like,
you guys do look you guys kind of have a similar look.
Dude, when Sam used to have longer hair, we had the exact same haircut. We had like slip-on Vans, skinny jeans, and like a Youth Medium band shirt on. We looked exactly the same. And from there, we just hit it off. And Sam joined Architects maybe a couple of years after we first met. And I became fast friends with all of them just because I was so close with Sam. And I would go to shows and we all lived in the same city. We were in Brighton at this point. So we were all hanging out and became really, really close. And then myself and Ali, the bass player, ended up being flatmates.
Wow.
We shared a flat together. And I sang on an Architects record. And yeah, so it was like it's we were very, very close, like me and the whole band. And then getting Sam on the new record, we've wanted to have him on an album for so long, but we just couldn't find the right song for him.
Yeah.
And then when I wrote Ache, I instantly knew Sam could be on it. It was like, yes, this is the one. Because we wanted him on, we tried to get him on There Is Only You.
Oh, okay.
But for me, that record was so personal that I feel like I felt like I could, this is going to sound really narcissistic.
No, it's okay.
I wanted to be the only narrator on that
makes
record.
sense, yeah.
I just wanted one voice to tell that story.
Of course.
And I felt like if we had tried to bring in another voice, it may have taken it out of that world that we were trying to create.
Yeah.
So then the next one, it just Hold On to Your Heart, which came out in 2018. It just wasn't right. Again, it was a slightly similar thing to There's Only You. And then this record is so much about collaboration and working with other people. As soon as we wrote Ache, I was like, that's the one.
Yeah.
I can hear Sam on it instantly. And we didn't want him on a track where he would scream.
Sure.
We didn't want people to kind of to have a preconception of how Sam was going to sound on it. We didn't want to get him in just to do kind of what Sam's known for. It was like, no, we want Sam to like, and I know how good his singing voice is.
Yeah.
So I was like, you can do this, but you got to sing it. You got to sing it like this, and I know you'll kill it. So we got him in, and he killed it. Absolutely killed it. And then just before he started singing, I thought to myself, is this going to work? Because this is actually really different for him. And I hadn't really thought about it. I was just thinking about his vocal abilities. I was like, I know he can really sing. And I had a brief moment of worry. And then as soon as he sung the first line, I was like, this is perfect. This is absolutely perfect. Because it is different. I think his his fan base, or Architects fan base, have really connected with that song. And I think they've really enjoyed hearing Sam do something a little bit different. And he's featured on some other heavy records, but you almost kind of know what you're going to get with that.
Yeah.
So with this, I think there was a lot of intrigue, and it's just great because that song was very inspired by like shoegaze, but also by Blink-182. So, and we're both like fanatical about Blink.
Yeah.
So it was so great to get him on a track that we could both kind of bond over and be like, oh my God, this sounds like if Mark Hoppus was screaming at the top of his lungs. So that was exciting.
That was my next question, was about, I read the shoegaze thing, and shoegaze, I actually play in a shoegaze band. So that is like my fucking bread and butter.
Amazing.
What are some of your favorite shoegaze bands? And also, I want to ask you your favorite Blink-182 songs as well, too. So I think that's awesome.
Okay, here we go. So shoegaze, I'm obsessed with My Bloody Valentine, of course.
Yeah.
I think they've got to be the number one.
Yeah.
Like Loveless is just, I mean, I still listen to that today. I've been listening to that record for so long, like since I was a kid, and I still can't make sense of that record.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's something new every time. It's like just made a multicolor, multiverse record.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal. Phenomenal. Yeah. Like I don't smoke weed, but I kind of wish I did. Because I feel like it would open up some doors for me to figure out what on earth was going on. Because I know Kevin Shields smoked a lot of weed, but that record's it's just stunning, man. It's just stunning. And like Slowdive, I'm a huge fan of Slowdive.
Do you like Ride?
These are kind of, I do like Ride. I saw them perform in, I can't remember the year. I went to Primavera.
Oh, cool.
And I saw Ride play there, and they were really, really great. But I haven't actually kind of dived into their records as much as I have with Slowdive and My Bloody Valentine.
I think Nowhere by Ride is like one of the best shoegaze records ever.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I need to dig in. I need to really dig in on
It's
that.
a little more emo. Like, I honestly feel like it kind of is a precursor to emo in a lot of ways. Like, it's
really
cool. It's kind of, but it's also got like, obviously two of the guys, or one of the guys went on to join Oasis later on. And so it kind of has a little bit of that Oasis vibe. I don't know if you can see, I have the Oasis poster in the back. That's also one of my favorite bands. And it kind of feels like
what record?
That's just a Roll With It promo poster from the 90s.
Ah, nice. Amazing.
And the Ride kind of feels like Oasis, but like emo, but then just shoegaze, obviously. I don't know. I just feel like it's so cool. I think it's like such a great record.
That sounds very, very up my street. I need to check that out.
Yeah.
I love them at Primavera. I thought it was a great show. But I need to dig into that. I really need to dig into that.
Dude, that's so good.
Yeah. But Blink. Ooh, did you ask favorite Blink song?
Yeah, maybe a couple favorite Blink tracks, or just, I don't know. Did you watch the Coachella performances as well? Like on the live stream?
Yeah. Yeah, I was one of those guys that was refreshing TikTok for about 24 hours to see what was going on. I'm also a massive Frank Ocean fan, so that was like a 48-hour journey on TikTok about that whole stuff. So Blink, this is tough. This is really tough just to pick a couple songs, because like Enema of the State kind of changed my life.
Yeah.
In wanting to be in a band.
Mm-hmm.
But then I do think Self-Titled is their best album.
I agree. I did. Yeah. It is their best album. I mean, like, how could it not be? Like,
it just is. It just is. It's like I often think about, it's not my favorite song on the record, but like a song like Miss You.
Yeah.
Is just, it's one of those songs to me that was like sent from above. It's like sent from the gods. It's like, and again, I'll get into this, but like, it's almost like a Cure song.
Yeah, it is.
Like,
100%. Yeah.
And then, and then they have Robert Smith on the record with that beautiful
All of this. Yeah.
All of this.
Yeah.
Use me, Holly.
So good.
So like it's just such brilliant writing. That song is, All of This is actually one of my favorite Blink songs. It's one of my favorite songs on that record because it's just so nuanced, and with having Robert Smith's vocals on it, it really like takes it to an elite level of songwriting where before, I think Self-Titled for me, kind of why I keep going back to it is, and it might have been also like the kind of Boxcar Racer influence on that record, it just kind of, it made me feel like Take Off Your Pants and Jacket was maybe, I love that record, don't get me wrong, but it feels childish in comparison with Blink, which is a funny thing to say about Blink, because fucking Blink. They've got like Family Reunion and,
Well, it was like the safe album at the time, Like, if they had made Self-Titled after that, maybe it would have flopped. You know what I'm saying? I think they had to maybe play it safe on that one, maybe. I don't know.
Absolutely. Well, funnily enough, I just rewatched that Making of documentary.
Yeah.
I've watched that thing a million times. And the thing that hit me about it was that they all of a sudden became like a rock band.
Yeah.
Like when they were playing the heavier stuff on the record, when they were writing out of nowhere, because like Enema and Take Off Your Pants and Jacket are really like tight, claustrophobic, like pop punk songs.
Yeah.
And then out of nowhere, it just went widescreen.
Yeah.
And like DeLong found like some real nice distortion pedals, and like the drums were produced so magnificently. I think it was Jerry Finn who did that one.
Yeah.
They went for that roomy, let's just open up the room, let's get ambient mics everywhere. And the production on that record is just phenomenal.
It's so good. Jerry Finn was, I mean, sadly, I'm sure he passed away like 16 years ago. I mean,
that's right.
Such a legendary producer. Like, did everything.
His legacy, it'll never be forgotten.
No.
He just has made so many seminal records that he's sorely missed, man. Sorely missed. And he made the the Boxcar Racer record as well.
And like AFI, Sing the Sorrow. Oh my God, so many different albums.
Did he do anything with Jimmy Eat World? No.
That was Mark Trombino.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Funnily enough, we looked at trying to get in touch with Mark Trombino, but he's opened up a donut shop and doesn't.
I live 5 minutes away from his donut shop.
Is it good?
Dude, if you're ever in LA, you have to go get it. It is an all emo themed donut shop.
Oh, that's heaven. That's heaven to me.
It's wild. So like there's like a donut called like, instead of Jawbreaker, it's called the Java Breaker. There's the Bacon 182. They're all vegan as well.
Oh my. Perfect. Two of us are vegans, so that's perfect.
Hell yeah, dude. Yeah. It's so there's the Jimmy Eats Swirl. That's a great one as well.
Oh my. Right. Now I don't feel as bad, because when we first got word, it was like, I don't know if he's going to be that interested. He's opened up a donut shop. Like, oh my God. Like, we felt that was like a real, like, so
without the context, you're probably just like, wait, what? He just opened a donut shop? And like, why isn't he doing? But like, if you were in LA and saw, it's like a phenomenon here. Like, I think they have like 3 locations now. And it's like
unreal.
They do like collaborations with artists all the time. Like they are like, I don't know. It's kind of like, it's the boutique place to go get donuts sort of in LA.
Oh, dude, that sounds absolutely incredible. When we make it to LA, that's my first stop.
Dude,
Yeah,
absolutely, dude. Just
for
order
sure.
one of everything, dude. Seriously.
Oh my
It's so
god.
good,
Oh
dude.
my god. Unreal. Unreal.
And sort of switching gears, just a couple more questions.
Yeah.
We touched on signing to Unified, and I'm just curious, how that actually came about. Obviously they're kind of spread out everywhere. They're in Australia. Their office in LA is like 10 minutes from my house, which is kind of funny. I feel like they have really been able to touch so many different global markets. And, was signing to Unified was part of it sort of wanting to break into the States as well, but also Australia, which I think has an incredible scene of like really rallying behind rock and guitar driven bands as well, too.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we had a deal. It's kind of a funny story. Like we had a deal on the table, kind of halfway through lockdown over here. So throughout COVID,
Wow.
when
Okay.
we were in lockdown. Our label who released the last one offered us a new deal, and we were like, "Yeah, brilliant! This is great." And they had heard the demos and stuff, but then kind of like another, I don't know, I want to say like another 5 months passed before we got out. And we were kind of blindsided by the news that they had pulled the deal when we came out of it. Because I think they had tried to release records throughout lockdown and everything that was going on and lost a lot of money on guitar bands. So
Yeah.
I do completely get it. It's just one of those post-COVID, one of those awful situations. So out of nowhere, we didn't have anything, and then we parted ways with our management.
Wow.
Because he was, our manager at the time was like, I don't think I've got it in me to keep doing it. The world was such a mess at the time, and especially the music industry. It was so up in the air.
Yeah.
So we were slightly abandoned, and it felt like, kids were running wild in the house because we were making the record at the time. So nobody was there to be like, guys, rein it in. Parents had left and did not leave us pizza money. It was like, just free reign, go nuts. So that's what we did. And it got to a point when we were making the record, because our producer is our friend Steve. He was kind enough to say to us, let's just keep working on it. We'll figure out the money later on. Let's just keep going. Give you guys some purpose, and we'll just keep working, because we had so much fun in the studio, and he had a lot of free time, so we just kept going. And then I thought at one point, I was like, this isn't going to come out. I was so bummed out. I was totally broken. I was like, we've worked because we had so much time. We basically ended up taking like a year to make the thing. But like by the 7-month point, I was like, this isn't going to happen. It just isn't going to happen. Nobody is biting on this. And we still didn't have management at the time. So I was out one night, funnily enough, with Sam from Architects. And I was like brutally depressed about it. I was like, this is it. This is done. This is my life's work is just going to be pulled from under the rug because of COVID.
Yeah.
And I know it's happened to so many bands, but I just couldn't believe that this was the thing that was going to split up our band. So I was like, we're going to go out in a blaze of glory one day, and, I'll die on stage, and, blah, blah, romantic ideas about our band.
Yeah.
Ending in a lovely, wonderful, I don't know, cinematic way.
Yeah.
So I was telling Sam, and he was like, we got to figure this out. So he spoke to a couple of labels on our behalf, funnily enough.
Wow.
Yeah. And then he mentioned a name to me. So our A&R guys, this fella who works for Unified now, and Sam mentioned me to him, but he used to be a manager of a few bands. And Sam mentioned, he was like, right, we're going to send the record to Leander. That's our A&R guy. I was like, why? We now are in the process of getting new management. He's like, he's not a manager anymore. He's A&R at Unified, and we used to be signed to them. And he was like, I think Leander will really get this record.
Yeah.
And I was like, are Unified not like, well, you guys used to be on them, like super heavy label. He was like, well, I've just kind of got word that they're wanting to branch out. They've signed a couple of things in Australia that are a little more kind of, like kind of alternative rock or alternative pop kind of thing.
Yeah.
He was like, let's just send it to Leander and see. So Sam linked me with Leander because I've known Leander for a long time, but we hadn't spoken in years. So out of the blue, I was just like, hey, dude, we don't have a label and we're making our new record. We're looking for a new home. Here's 4 new songs. And he hit me right back like that night saying how much he loved it. And he was like, I'm going to take this to Unified. But he then was like, this might be a bit of a hard sell. I'm going to try my best. I'm going to work this because I really want to work with you guys. And honestly, within about a week, he was like, everybody at Unified is on board.
Oh,
and it was that simple. It was like the belief from Unified was there like from the off. I think there was like maybe 3 different stages of people to get it past who had to sign off on it. And it just went boom, 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 boom. Like super quick. I couldn't believe it. And then obviously we got into the boring legal stuff that nobody has to hear about.
Yeah.
And we were signed like just, honestly, it was a couple of months really, and it was all done. And they couldn't be like a better fit for our band, even though on paper some people would be really surprised about that.
I think it's perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, we were like, we're on the same label as Stray from the Path. This rules. Like,
yeah.
It's great, and it makes sense to us, especially with kind of what I was saying about people being stuck in the past. Unified are far from that.
Yeah.
Far from that.
Yeah.
With signing a band like ours to a label like that, it's not lost on us that that's a slight risk for them. It's not their usual, the usual kind of band they would sign, and they definitely have their own fan base as a label who kind of expect a certain kind of music from the label. So I think a lot of people were shocked. A lot of Unified fans were shocked, but hopefully they're coming around to the idea of it now. But yeah, we feel very, very fortunate and very supported by them. They've been like so phenomenal with us.
Dude, that's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's so rad. Shouts out to Unified. Awesome people. Great label. Yeah. That's so exciting for you guys. So that sort of leads to my last question. Like, obviously, the debut LP for Unified, you said, is going to arrive in August, I believe you said. I know this is a pretty broad question, but, what can you sort of reveal? What can we expect, from the record? Yeah. And then sort of surrounding the record as well, too, just throughout your career and like sort of your plans and whatnot for the rest of the year.
Yeah. So the record it's certainly our most diverse record for sure. We've the songs that we've released are kind of the more, and the songs that we will release up until the album comes out, they're definitely the more alternative rock songs on the record. We kind of wanted to ease people in because it really is it's kind of all over the shop. It's just like there's like a jazz song on there, like a legit jazz song where we like have sampled an Architect song. It might be a bit of a spoiler, but like, yeah, like, and we got it in there. We've done it's on there. Yeah, it's a bit of an Easter egg. You have to listen out to it. You have to listen quite closely.
Okay.
There's some more kind of like acoustic-y stuff on there. Some more kind of like pop moments. Some like really glitchy stuff. So yeah, it's definitely all over the map. But it's kind of the band that it's us truly experiencing like creative freedom for the first time. not being kind of shackled.
Yeah.
It certainly sounds like a band who have been unleashed.
Nice.
That's what it sounds like to me. So it's really diverse. I do think it's our most kind of emo record as well in terms of music and like vulnerability. It's like I definitely wanted to make a very transparent record in terms of lyrics and kind of try and find some poetry in some pretty ugly situations I find myself in. So, and musically, it definitely harks back to like a slightly more emo sound at times because we wanted it to find, for us to find freedom again. We had to almost get in the mindset of being 15 again. Because
Okay.
that's true naive freedom when there's no pressures. When you're 15, it's like naive freedom. You know,
Absolutely.
Because there's no pressures, there's nothing. You're just creating for the sake of creating because you want to. And we got into that mindset of being like, right, this is where younger us meets adult us. Let's take what we know from what we loved when we first got into the alternative scene and take influence from everything from like Jawbreaker and Taking Back Sunday to taking influence from like Prince.
Nice.
Then taking influence from like Brockhampton and stuff like that, and just making this like creating everything that we love in our own kind of melting pot, and that's what you get. So it's very diverse, and yeah, super proud of it, and I hope people just kind of come on the journey with us because it's definitely a slight shift, but it's going to be exciting to see what happens kind of post-album release.
Dude, that's so exciting. I mean, what you just described, I'm like, that just sounds like it's going to be like my favorite music. You're like, Jawbreaker meets Prince.
So.
Like, fuck yeah, dude. Are you kidding me? That sounds fucking awesome. And I love that.
The thing is for us as well is that we grew up loving everything.
Yeah.
Like, it was all relative to us. Like, all of it was relative. Like listening to the Beach Boys meant as much to us as listening to Radiohead.
Sure.
Like, you know, it was, or like, we were huge on like Fortet and Aphex Twin when we were younger, while still listening to things like the Get Up Kids.
Yeah.
And Hey Mercedes and like Mineral and Far and
there
stuff like
go.
that. You know, it's like, yeah, there we go. I'm pulling the big guns out.
Pulling the big ones out. There we go.
But it all was just, it was all just relative to us, and like fell in love with like Elliott Smith really young, and then, you know, then there was like the huge Drive-Thru explosion for us was massive. But again, similarly, it's like Drive-Thru was good exposure for like different styles, because again, like one of our favorite bands on Drive-Thru was RX Bandit.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Unreal.
Yeah.
Unreal band. The Resignation record.
Dude.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
And it's like that band, you know, within that scene, it was like, wow. I mean, this label have like Finch in the starting line early November, and then they got RX Bandits. It's like,
that's so true. You know, yeah.
Great thing. And again, I feel like that was all kind of relative. So we've always kept that mindset that like genre for us has never existed. And I'm so happy that now there's the big conversation of, well, genre doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And that is an excellent thing for music.
Dude, because I couldn't agree more.
Why should there be limitations on anyone's creative output?
Hell no.
Yeah.
So are you saying like
that's what this record is?
The next record could just be like a black metal record, you know? I'm just joking.
I would love to. Don't tempt me, dude. I've been threatening to make a record that sounds like worship and tribute for years.
Dude, that would be fucking awesome, dude. Oh my god.
Yeah, man.
Yes,
but,
dude.
Like Glassjaw are untouchable. So
my god.
I'm not gonna even try. I'm not gonna even try. Yeah.
I mean, dude, that would be fucking wild. That's such a great record. And sort of, just do you guys are you guys planning on coming to the States after this record, drops and everything? Are there any plans in motion right now? Anything you can reveal?
Yeah, there's been quite a few conversations about getting out to the States. So I think next year we're hopefully going to maybe do kind of because this will be our first introduction to America properly.
Yeah.
So I think we were looking at it maybe just doing each coast.
Yeah.
And kind of the good thing about the old kind of Spotify for Artists app is that we can see which cities are listening to us in America, which is actually so beneficial.
Yeah.
So beneficial. So yeah, it would make sense for us to maybe not kind of travel throughout the whole of America just yet, even though we would love to. I think we're going to take it coast by coast and kind of start off on the East Coast and then maybe go away and then come back and do the West Coast. But that is definitely a 100% happening next year.
That's exciting.
Sure. We've kind of begged Unified to make that happen. So that was one of the main things that, we're going to get out to America and do it properly because it's long overdue. And we got to come meet you, man. Get some donuts.
Dude, I was going to say, man, when you guys play in LA, I will bring a bunch of donut friend, Mark Trombino's donuts, over to you.
Love it.
I'll bring a whole case.
Love it, dude. Amazing.
Dude,
amazing. I look forward to that day.
Dude, that's amazing. Dude, thank you so much again. That's all my questions. And just really appreciate you sitting down and having a conversation, man. Really excited for the record. And I'm sure we'll keep in touch. I'm close with all the Unified family. So that's just so fucking awesome, dude.
Amazing, man. Thank you so much for speaking to me, dude. I really appreciate it.
Of course, man. Dude, of course. Thank you so much. And just have a great rest of your night, I would assume, probably. It's probably like night.
Nighttime, dinner time over here, yeah.
It's 11 in the morning here.
Oh, dude. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks, man. You too.
All right, buddy. I'll speak to you soon. Thank you so much, bro.
See you, man. Talk soon, bro.
Bye.
Later. There you have it. Another episode in the books. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with your friends, family, and enemies. Additionally, feel free to leave us a review wherever you listen to this podcast. It goes a long way and it helps us keep the show rolling. You can follow us on Instagram at EMOlition Derby to stay up to date on upcoming episodes, Q&As, exclusive content, and more. Thanks again, and we will see you next time.